Federal and state regulations for barbers. Theory review for barbering students to pass the state board written exam. Regulations required by State Board of Barbering. Health Department. All public service establishments follow infection control measures and safe work practices. Regulatory agencies are federal agencies and state and local agencies. Federal regulatory agencies set guidelines for the environment, human health, safe work practices for most occupational and manufacturing sectors. Local and state agencies regulate and enforce licensing, minimum standards, workplace conduct, other oversight responsibilities that help ensure public health and safety. Agencies that regulate barber and cosmetology establishments are Environmental Protection Agency EPA, Food and Drug Administration FDA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration OSHA. Environmental Protection Agency EPA develops and enforces the regulations of environmental law in an effort to protect human health and the environment, approves all disinfectants used in barbershops and other establishments for each state, enforces the accurate statement of product labels. Food and Drug Administration FDA is responsible for enforcing rules and regulations associated with food, drug, and cosmetic products purchased and used by the public. Cosmetics used for consumers have to be properly labeled. Occupational Safety and Health Administration OSHA is created as a result of the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970. Assures, regulates, and enforces safe and healthful working conditions in the workplace. Requires employers to provide working environment for employees free from recognizable hazards. Barbershops need to comply with the OSHA bloodborne pathogen standard, helping protect employees from being at risk from cross-infection. OSHA's Hazard Communication Rule requires Material Safety Data Sheet MSDS for chemicals used in barbershops and beauty establishments. Requires chemical manufacturers and importers to evaluate and identify possible health hazards associated with their products. Requires proper labeling. Requires that MSDS and hazard information be made available to workers through the Right to Know law. Hazard Communication Rule requires barbershops to follow proper mixing practices, storage requirements, proper disposal of all chemicals in the workplace. MSDS provides product information about ingredient content, associated hazards, combustion levels, storage requirements. In addition to MSDS requirements, follow the procedures obtained from your local hazardous waste agency or office for disposal of waste, hazardous chemicals, outdating products. It's the law. Barbershops and schools are required to maintain MSDS for every product used on the premises. They could be kept in an organized file or a notebook for easy access. Labeling refers to the listing of ingredients on the packaging of a product with the appropriate hazard warning. Right to Know law requires that a Right to Know notice be posted in the work environment where toxic substances are present. Notice could be obtained through State Department of Labor. Employers' responsibilities for Right to Know law are to inform the worker of toxic substances in the workplace, maintain MSDS and have them for easy access, provide education to the worker about the proper use of the substances and emergency procedures. Notify the appropriate local agencies about the identity, characteristics, and location of the toxic substances. Workers' rights at barbershop. Know the characteristics and location of toxic substances in the barbershop and beauty establishment. Have access to relevant material safety data sheets. Right to refuse to work with a listed toxic substance if not supplied with a copy of the MSDS. Right of education and instruction within 30 days of employment on the potentially adverse health effects of each toxic substance in the work environment and the appropriate emergency procedures. Obtain additional information from the Toxic Substance Information Center. Protection from discharge, discrimination, or discipline for exercising rights. State regulatory agencies of barbershops are occupational licensing bureaus, state barber boards, health departments, building inspectors. State regulatory agency enforcements, inspections, investigations, issuance of penalties when warranted. Penalties for not complying with state agency regulations for barbershops are warnings, fines, probations, suspension, revocation of licenses of barbers and owners. Every barber or owner of barber establishment should have knowledge and should comply to the federal and state regulations in order to avoid health or safety violations at their workplace.